It's my honor today to introduce our representative, our present representative, and future representative for all of Charlotte County to the state of Florida, District 75, Ken Roberson.
Are we ready to take our country back to war? Thank you for everything you've done and all the calls that we've made. I think I heard the figure Saturday that we've made like 10 million phone calls in the state of Florida. And we're going to win Florida. I want to thank Ms. Buchanan and Congressman Davis for coming. It's my pleasure at this time to introduce former Congressman Artur Davis to be with us this evening. And we thank you for coming down here and making the trip. Where are y'all headed from here?
Back home.
Back home.
One more stop here. One more stop here.
Well, thank you so much, and I'll introduce you now, and thank you again for coming. And being
Thank you,
with us.
Representative. Thank you. Representative, thank you very much for welcoming us to your district. I was asking the representative how his campaign was going, and he told me that he is deploying the best strategy that's ever been tested in politics. He's running on a post. Nothing works as well as that. Let me thank you all. You know, we got 24 hours to go in this thing, and then the wonderful thing about being out at these victory centers and talking to those of you who are on the front lines, we don't have to do any persuading. You know, you're here because you know that the country Barack Obama has delivered us is not as good as what America can be. We don't have to persuade you of that, and we don't even have to really motivate you, because the fact that you're here shows you're motivated. The fact that you're making those 10 billion calls, and by the way, at the last stop, we had two ladies who each made 20,000, so y'all still got some you know, we don't have to motivate you, and you're already doing that. The wonderful thing about getting to see all of you, though, is frankly, you're motivating us. You know, Babe Buchanan and I have been around politics for a little while, and both of us love politics and we love our country, but like anybody else, you know, we've been in the game so long that we can even get a little bit cynical about it if we're not careful, because we've seen so many elections, heard so many appeals. When we talk to people like you, ladies and gentlemen, it reminds us why we chose politics as a life's calling. It reminds us that on the other side of all the money and all the negative campaigning and all of that, on the other side of it is being able to put good people in office to do right by their communities. And there is nothing like being around volunteers who know that their man is about to win 24 hours. You know, I'll make, just, one big point to you today. People, keep asking us, why is this election such critical? And people keep saying, well, isn't it tough for anybody to get anything done in Washington? Isn't it likely to be continued gridlock either way? The reason this matters so much, ladies and gentlemen, there are two different theories of American government and American life that are competing with each other right now. Now, we know what we believe. We believe that free markets are one of the gifts that God gave us in this country, and that we know how to use our free markets to create jobs and build dreams and build families. We believe it not just because we think it, but because we've seen it work in our own lives. We believe that we are a country of uniquely blessed people. You think about the fact that we were a little string of colonies in the Atlantic seaboard. We had an ocean on one side, Indians on one side, the British on one side, the Spanish and French below us. The idea that we would survive, much less prosper and become the greatest, most powerful force in the history of God's earth, we think that's something that God had a little bit something to do with.
That's
Big
right.
bit of something. We also believe that the most important thing that we have
I'm going to grab my chair.
That's the most important identity that we have. Now, our friends on the other side, they have a little bit of a different way of looking at the world. They believe the answer to every problem, no matter what it is to take government, grow it a little bit more, and stick a government office in every community and on top of every problem. They believe that there's another simple solution to every economic challenge we face: reach in people's pockets and take a little bit more of their money.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't give the president credit for a lot, but I'll give him credit for being perfectly candid about this. Barack Obama is poised to make a unique kind of history if he somehow won tomorrow. You know what it is? Nobody has ever run for the presidency on the promise that, ladies and gentlemen, if you only will give me 4 more years, I promise to take more of your money. And they also, one other big difference between us and them, they look at Americans as boxes. They think the most important thing to us is our skin color, or our gender, or the region we live in, or our ethnicity, or our age. They think that's the most important thing about us, and they're convinced that when we look in the mirror, we see a box, we see a category, we see a group. So that's why they talk to us that way. That's why when you see Democratic politicians like Barack Obama make speeches, they tick off what they've done for various groups. That's why they talk about, well, we're doing this for the women, we're doing this for the blacks, and this for the minorities, and this for the young people. It doesn't occur to them, what if you do things for the United States of America? A very different way of looking at the world. And we don't just think our way is better, we know it's better. We know that that's how we won World War II. We know it's how we put this country back together after the Civil War. We know it's how we overcame a depression. We know it's how we overcame Vietnam in the 60s and all the chaos of the 60s and 70s. We know it's how we overcame Jimmy Carter. We know it's what held us together after 9/11. We know that our values as Americans work because they're tested and because they've endured. But, ladies and gentlemen, I would submit to you that if we're not careful, we may be in a phase right now when we could lose who and what we are.
Yep.
Marco Rubio is one day going to be seen as one of the most historic figures in the part of the century. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Marco Rubio loves to say that once freedom is lost, it is very hard to get it back. It's very hard to get it back. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an opportunity right now in this season to stand together on the front lines to save this country's vision of itself and to preserve the kind of freedom that we know and value so much. So 24 more hours.
We're going to get it.
Sometime tomorrow night, we're going to make all those TV news anchors who are rooting for Barack Obama. We're going to make Chris Matthews or we're going to put a sad look on their face tomorrow night.
Yes, we
Because
are.
sometime tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, it may be 11 o'clock, it may be 12, it may be 2 o'clock, we're going to make those anchors, we're going to make them have to look at that little note that just got handed to them by one of their producers. And they're going to say,
Romney
based
won.
on this information that we've just been handed, you'll see the little solemn look on their face. Based on this information, we must now project and declare, like a little kiss in the throat. We must now project and declare that Mitt Romney is going to be the 45th president. Some of these guys, when we win tomorrow night, they're going to say Mitt Romney won, and there's a northeaster coming to Massachusetts. They're going to find something negative in it, but we're going to make them have to say it whether or not they like it. Isn't that right? The next thing I get to do, I get to introduce a wonderful lady who's been my traveling companion for the last several days. I didn't really know Babe Buchanan other than seeing her on TV until about 48 hours ago. But the one thing about doing campaign surrogate work, you know, you had better like the people you're traveling with. We have gotten to know each other this last 2 days. And she's a wonderful lady. She's an accomplished lady. Babe Buchanan, everybody knows that she's Pat's sister, but, you know, that's important. It's a big deal. But she's also run 3 presidential campaigns. Wow. Pat Buchanan won the New Hampshire primary in 1996 and shocked the world. The lady who crafted the strategy was Babe Buchanan. Pat Buchanan, as a guy with no money, managed to take an incumbent president of the United States into the early battle rounds in the primaries in '92 when people thought he wouldn't crack 8% of the vote. You know, Babe Buchanan had something to do with that. So she also was the treasurer of the United States of America. She was part of the Reagan Revolution in 1980. And she is part of the conservative vanguard of this country. And, you know, there's a big liberal vanguard. It's all the mainstream media. But, you know, we have to fight. You know, we have to be on TV. We have to be talking back to them. Is this crazy? We have to be countering it. Babe Buchanan is regularly on TV, speaking our cause, having to figure out how to get a word in edgewise against the interrupters on the left. But she does it with the grace. She does it with the credibility. And she cares more about the truth and more about integrity than she does just getting to see herself on TV. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Babe Buchanan.
Probably like me at the convention, I was fortunate enough to be in a seat right there in Convention Hall when I saw Artur Davis get up there, and I thought, okay, this is that Democrat, that old. Gosh, you know, that's a good thing. Then I heard him speak, and I said, whoa, this is amazing. This is a star, a rising star in our party, I'll tell you. I don't know how the Democrats let him go, but I'm sure I am delighted to be able to go. Spent these couple days together, but what has been so exciting for both of us is to go to meet people just like you in Victory Center after. This must be, we've done it